This module of Inventor will include instruction on how to edit a sketch and edit features on previously created parts. We'll start by moving our cursor to the upper left portion of the screen, and we'll left click on New. The Create New File dialog box will appear. And I'm going to pull this down so you can see that. And we'll left click on Standard Inventor Part, and left click on Create. Once Inventor is up and running, we'll move our cursor over to the upper left portion of the screen. We'll left click on Start 2D Sketch. And we'll start by left clicking on the front plane, the XY plane. And we're going to create a circle with the center at the origin. So we're going to move over here to the upper left portion of the screen, left click on Circle. And we'll move our cursor down to the center and just snap to that origin. We'll left click, drag a circle out, and left click again, and we'll right click, left click on OK. Then we'll left click on the dimension tool, left click on the circle itself, and we'll drag the dimension out, left click once, and we'll enter a 2 for the diameter, and we'll wheel out using the roller wheel. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, left click on Finish 2D Sketch. Then we'll roll it out one more time. We'll move our cursor over to the extrude icon, we'll left click one time. And we'll give it a second there to compute all that. And we're going to enter an extrusion distance of 0.25. And we'll left click on OK. Now we're going to put a hole on this surface. So we'll move the cursor over this surface. Once it becomes red, we'll right click. We'll left click on New Sketch. And Inventor will rotate it around so we have a perpendicular view of that surface. Move the cursor to the upper left portion of the screen. We'll left click on Circle. And we'll move our cursor over here to the center grid. It won't really snap, but it will snap to that center portion. It just isn't going to look like it, or it's not going to snap like you've created a sketch. So once that's lined up with the center, we can left click one time, drag a circle out, then we'll left click on Dimension, left click on the center of the circle, and we'll left click on the outside edge of the part. We should be able to get it to grab the center. Okay, you'll have to left click in the center there. Either way, this isn't really crucial because we're going to change it anyway. And we'll enter 0.5. Then we'll left click on the circle itself. We'll enter 0.5. Then we'll right click, left click on OK, right click again, Finish Sketch. And we'll left click on Extrude. And you can see it trying to create a pin or a stud. We're going to use the cut icon. That automatically reverses the direction. And we'll left click on OK once we get past some of these other tools. Now we will use the circular pattern command to put some more holes in this. So we'll left click on circular pattern. Circular pattern dialog box will come up. The features icon is already selected. We'll move our cursor inside the hole so the entire hole lights up. Left click once, and we'll left click on the rotation icon. We'll move that to the edge of the part, and we'll get 6 circles. So let's change that to 3 for right now, and we'll enter OK. So now we have a finished part. We've gone to this so that we can have a part to modify. Now if you haven't noticed already, over here on the left portion of the screen is what's known as a part tree. Anything below the origin are things that have been done to create this part. And there's little plus signs next to each one of these icons. That means there's something underneath those. So the first thing we'll do is underneath origin, we'll drop down each one of the little plus signs. So the first one underneath Extrusion 1 you see Sketch 1. If you move your cursor over Sketch 1, you'll notice that the sketch that was used to create this part highlights. If you move your cursor over Extrusion 1, that shows the extrusion that was used to create the solid. If we move our cursor over Sketch 2, that shows the hole that was created, and Extrusion 2 is the extruded cut that was used to create that hole. If you move your cursor over the circular pattern, it shows the two circles that were created using the circular pattern. Notice that the original circle is not part of the circular pattern. Underneath that, it has 3 occurrences. We can turn off or on any one of these if there needs to be a reason. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by modifying Sketch 1, then we'll modify Extrusion 1, we'll modify Sketch 2, Extrusion 2, we'll modify the circular pattern. And let's see, before we go any further, let's put a fillet on here so that we'll have a fillet to modify. So I'm going to left click out here in the workspace. We'll left click on, we'll do a chamfer. Then we'll left click on these edges. And we have an 1/8 inch fillet, and we'll live with that, so we'll left click on OK. So now we have a chamfer on our part. So the first thing we're going to do is increase the diameter of this part. We can create an entirely new part simply by modifying this one. So I'm going to move the cursor over Sketch 1, I'm going to right click, I'm going to left click on Edit Sketch. Then we'll double click on 2.0, and all we have to do is enter 3.0. We don't have to re-extrude it, we just finish sketch and the size of the part increases. Now we'll move up to Extrusion 1, we'll right click one time, left click on Edit Feature, and we'll increase the distance to 0.75. Then we'll rotate the part around. Do you notice any problem? Our holes don't go all the way through anymore, which is not a big deal. We can fix that. So we'll right click, left click on OK. So let's right click on Sketch 2, left click on Edit Sketch, and let's change the size and location. We'll enter a 1 in here, and let's change this to 0.25. Then all we do is left click on Finish Sketch, and now the holes have changed. Now let's right click on Extrusion 2, left click on Edit Feature, and remember our holes don't go all the way through anymore, so we'll enter 0.75. We'll use the Free Orbit command, and now they go all the way through. Next we'll move our cursor over Circular Pattern, we'll right click, left click on Edit Feature. The Circular Pattern dialog box comes up, and we can change the number of occurrences. So we'll make it 6. And then we'll enter OK. Now, move your cursor over Chamfer, right click, left click on Edit Feature, and we'll change this to 1/4 inch chamfer. Left click on OK, and now we have a completely different part than what we started with, and this new part was created simply by modifying parameters that made up the original part. And this concludes this module on editing a feature, editing a sketch, editing a circular pattern, and editing a chamfer.